certainly an enjoyable past weekend. As I mentioned last week, other than the outcomes of the game, the most important thing was trying to help, Long Island and their new young program get some media coverage, get some exposure, and I think we were able to accomplish it, especially Saturday when we ended up playing at Nassau Coliseum. And when you asked me last week if my players knew of any of the players that played back in the early 80s and the tradition of the rink, I set up about 15 trivia questions over the course of the week, and it was fun because most of the players I was talking about as we walked in the rink on Saturday, their jerseys are retired. So it went, Potvin, Clark Gillies, Trottier, Bossy, Billy Smith, guys that I played against. Now these young ladies know about them, and certainly having the 4 Stanley Cup banners up there was a special event. And again, the exposure part of it for the group was very positive. So the outcome of the weekend was very good. Their coaching staff, their athletic director were very appreciative of us coming out and participating in the weekend. So it was a fun weekend, and turn up the dial and get back into league play here for the next couple weekends, and looking forward to the challenges every time we play Bemidji, whether it's up there or here in Madison. You know what you're going to get, and they're coming off a sweep of Minnesota Duluth, so I'm sure there's confidence is at a real high level, and we prepare ourselves and having Saturday and Sunday afternoon games coming up.
Questions? Todd?
Maybe touched on it a little bit there, but I would imagine your players don't need a whole lot of primer on the veteran players, especially on Bemidji State, considering, they beat you late last season. It's a team that's challenged you a lot in the last few seasons, even though the record maybe doesn't look quite that way.
Yeah, they, Jim does a great job of preparing, getting them play at a real high level and competing. And so, you have to be ready for that. There's going to be a lot of 50-50 battles. There's going to be a lot of loose pucks, and, you know how they're going to play. So, we'll show our team some footage of their games this past weekend. We'll do some things in this week to prepare, and then you know what you're up against, and it's going to make us better. It's certainly part of the DNA of our league, whether we're playing Bemidji or some of the other teams. The competitive level of everybody involved within our conference is real high right now, and it's something that you have to be aware of. You can't take anybody lightly, and certainly Bemidji is going to come in here after this past weekend very confident. I know their players love playing at LeBon. They love coming down here, so it makes for a good series. And this part of the season, still being really the first third of it, it's a good opportunity to get exposed to that type of competition.
Todd again?
Have the first few weeks been, about Mackenzie Steffen, have the first few weeks been more than when you expected out of her offensively? Or is this kind of just with the ice time she gets a product of what she does well?
It's probably a combination of several things. One being, the early part of the season, our power play has been pretty good, and she's quarterbacking it, and so, if the puck's going in a high percentage, which it's at right now, and she's touching the puck, so the point production and some of the goals she's able to score, it's helpful, but. I didn't really pinpoint or look at what type of things she was going to do offensively. It was just a matter of her leadership. Being comfortable wearing the C on her jersey and not trying to do things other than she's done up to this point. I think sometimes when you put a letter on somebody's, jersey, that they think they have to do more. And we talked about that when she was named captain. It's just, you're respected by your teammates. You just need to be yourself, and the way you've conducted yourself the last 3+ years is the way you need to continue to do that. So I think getting off to a good start, especially the production side of it, helps with the young lady's confidence.
Brian?
Grace Bolby's done a lot of nice things for your hockey team, and she's not there to score goals, but she finally scored her first in 86th or 87th game. I mean, I don't know if she was pressing to score the goal. You certainly couldn't tell by the way she's been playing over the last couple of years, okay?
Yeah, it's been probably the last, 4, 5, 6 games where she's had some good quality scoring opportunities, and you can sense it from the bench as she's going in to take a shot, and it might look like it's going in. The bench starts to lift. And certainly when she scored her goal Saturday, you know, it was like we had won a championship. Everybody on the bench erupted. All the girls on the ice went over and gave, you know, a hug like it was a game-winning goal. But that's just sort of the nature of, you know, people wanting their teammates to do well. And there were a couple of individuals this past weekend that, you know, scored their first goal, some of our freshmen. And just their, you know, their teammates are excited for them because they see how hard they work every day, and you know, to get their name on the score sheet is something special for each one of them. So for Grace, you know, maybe she can relax now. Maybe the second one comes a little quicker than the first one. So, but my trivia question to you is: we got Billy Smith as the goalie, right? Who was the backup? Backup goalie that year. I'll give you a clue. An American. Played at where men played Duluth this year. This young fellow played at Duluth when he was going through the college ring. And then he became my teammate in New Jersey. So that was my question. That was my question to Campbell before I told her she had to come up with the answer before their pregame meal the next day. She did good. I mean, they got the phones and they got the Googles.
Do I have a day to figure this out, or
What's that?
a day or 5 minutes? How much time do I have?
Google. Google it.
You want his nickname?
Yeah.
No. You want his
Nickname.
Nickname?
Sure. What was his nickname?
Chico.
Chico Resch?
There we go.
George.
Coach,
That tells me I'm getting real old.
Coach, to have 80 shots on goal on Saturday, I mean, with the score, you guys were in the lead the whole game, and to have that clip, I mean, how do you play with that aggression for an entire game? And I mean, if you can explain it, how do you reach that number? It's just such a high number of shots.
I mean, at the onset, you know, the outcome of the game wasn't the priority for the weekend, and so, you know, as you reflect back on the game, and you know, any coach will tell you is, you know, you try to continue with good habits, and so as we entered the weekend, it was about, you know, continuing down the path of creating good habits, and no matter who you're playing, where you're playing, is to go on the ice and do that. And so, you know, Saturday's game, you know, the excitement was to play in an NHL rink. You know, girls got an opportunity to dress in a visiting room of a National Hockey League team, and so the excitement was there. And then, you know, you're going on the ice, and irrelevant of who you're playing, it's, you know, doing what we want to do and continue down the process of trying to get better. And you know, obviously the team we're playing against is new. They're young. They're trying to gain some experience and get their foot on, you know, developing a solid Division I program. And so, you know, you play the game accordingly. A lot of kids got to play that maybe didn't get the ice time that they've got in the previous, you know, 5 or 6 games that we've played. And, you know, you respect the game. You respect your teammates. You respect your opponents and the coaching staff. And as we finished up the game Saturday, even though the score was 12-0, I think everybody felt good on the weekend and what we were able to do and help that program out. And I felt that way. And so whether it was 20 shots or 40 shots or 80 shots, you know, a year from now or maybe 3 or 4 years from now when they come to play us here in Madison, you know, that's just a number. And if you want to find it, you'd have to look in the archives to find it. So we continue to, you know, the play, you know, the way we're trying to play, and we did it for 60 minutes and felt good about our game and felt good about what we accomplished this past weekend, not only on the ice, but equally as important off the ice.
Brian.
All right, so here's a trivia question for you then. So, because Chico Resch, I don't think, was there the whole time behind Billy Smith. There was another goaltender. Who was that after Chico Resch?
Boy.
Does he get a clue?
How about, yeah, here's a clue. His last name is the same last name as a former Wisconsin goaltender. Yeah, and you were a coach when that young man was playing for the Wisconsin Badgers.
Dirksen?
Huh? No?
Melanson right there. Roland Melanson. Bingo. Got it. Yeah. Bingo. Right on it.
I don't have any trivia questions.
Well, that first year, as I told him, the other trivia question was, you'll be able to get this one. So they play in the Flyers, right? You know, they go into overtime. Who got the game-winning goal in overtime for His name's one of the names that's up on the. Nope. And actually, Trottier played in the Canada Cup one year for the U.S. and was my roommate up in Montreal.
What?
Yeah, just talk about a small world. Come on, we got it. His name is later. So we've got Potvin. We got Clark Gillies, number 9. We got Trottier in the middle. You got Bossy on the right side. Kenny Morrow won for him there, but he's not up there. His jersey's not retired, so.
You got time to think about. We'll go to Todd.
Sorry, I don't have a question.
He had I believe his son played at Michigan, if I'm not mistaken.
Why don't you go ahead, Todd? We'll come back to
Can
the
I stop
answer.
this? I don't.
We're deep. I know it's Monday.
Paul just gave you the answer.
Yeah, you're right.
Paul's helping me out. He's going to the Google machine.
Oh, what was it? Bobby Nystrom. I think his son played at Michigan. There's a Nystrom that played at Michigan. Yeah.
Okay. Todd,
go.
back to you.
Sorry to break this up, but I think what I was going to ask about was about your power play. I don't remember what it was now. But I was just
You should have
curious.
seen that power play with those guys on it back
Yes.
then. Holy moly.
I know you've never really lacked for talent on your power play units. What's clicking? What is there something that has fired to a different level so far this season?
Well, I think, 3 of the players, obviously Daryl's, in there. Between Daryl and Abby and Shirley, all 3 of them have great ability to pass the puck. And so they can read options. The beneficiary is Curlbin, so Watt gets the puck on the half wall and she'll be able to get the puck to Britta and score a couple tip-in goals. And so teams are going to give you certain looks, and it's the ability of the team that's on the offense with the extra player and the puck is to be able to read what options you have. And they're going to take certain things away, and it's the ability of those players to find out what's opened up. And in the early part of the season, they've been able to do a good job. I'm sure as we go through, the next 3 or 4 weekends, things are going to get stiffer and more challenging because people will be looking at what we do on film and then trying to take some options away. But it's been good from that standpoint, and one of the reasons we've had success up to this point is our ability to find those open people, and then obviously getting the puck behind the goaltender.